Hi, I'm Robert Chalide, Chief of Police for Shelby Township, and welcome to Straight Talk. This week we have our superstar community policing officer, Carrie Bennett, on the show, and our comfort dog, Officer Stanley. Carrie, welcome to the show.
Hi, Chief. Thank you.
Stanley, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, he's great.
Yeah. So we just had our open house, and you and Sergeant Benettini were tasked with organizing it and planning it.
Yep.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about how it went and what went into the planning and everything?
I think it was a major success. We had so many people come out and give us great feedback, and it was a beautiful day for it. It was a little bit hot, but how many people? 1,300 people came out? Yes. Yep. So we have great ideas for next year, only ways to make it bigger and better, but this year it was amazing.
Okay, I'm glad to hear it. And I was part of it too. I was serving up cider and donuts.
Yeah, we put you to work, yeah.
Without a break. And I said, this is the hardest I've worked in 35 and a half years. So it was a great event. And what I loved is the number of families that were out there with the children. I mean, it was a nonstop parade of families. And you and Benny did a great job.
Thank you.
Planning. I'm very happy. I want you to know that right now.
Thank you.
So what's going on with this little guy right here?
So I think everybody knows Officer Stanley. He is our comfort dog for the department, for the community, for the schools. He is everywhere. So we bounce around all the schools to make presents for whoever is having a bad day, who needs to see him, because that is his job, to be cute and to make people's day. So we're going to the football games, and yeah, he's just here to be.
How old is he?
He is 7 months.
He's 7 months, okay. And you want to tell a story how we got him?
So I've been looking into a community services dog for, to do just what he's doing. So I reached out to rescues, and I got turned down so many times. And then I was driving into work one day, and I saw the sign that said puppies for sale at Lisa's Dog Grooming at 26 and Van Dyke. And I went in there to go talk to her, because go reach out to the community. And I've never been in there before. So went in there. She is amazing. Lisa and her husband are so nice. They are the nicest people. And I told her what his purpose, what it was going to be going into schools, and she donated him right on the spot. So then
that's great.
Yep.
I love it. So what I think is interesting is that my end of it, one of the little officers flew on my shoulder and whispered that you wanted this community service dog, and he told me it's very important that she gets it, and she did a big write up on it and everything, blah blah. And I said, okay, why are you even talking to me about this? Not an issue. Let her have it. I was thinking to myself, right? So I was waiting for Benny to come and talk to me about it, and like a week went by, no Benny. And the officer came back and circled back. He said, hey, what's going on with this? And I said, Benny never came down and talked to me. You better go say something to him. Right? I don't know if Benny was afraid to come in or not.
Yeah.
So next thing you know, here comes Sergeant Benny in my office. He knocked on the door. Chief, can I talk to you? I said, sure. And he's got a big packet in his hand. And he says, I want to talk to you. Carrie, is interested in getting this dog, I want you to read this. I said, Benny, I'm not reading anything. I said, state your purpose. And he told me his purpose. I said, approved. Now get out of here. And I threw him out of the office.
Oh.
And the rest is history. Stanley came on board. He runs around the station like he owns the place.
Yep.
And he's made friends. I know he's friends in dispatcher. He's friends with Lieutenant Hogan,
Yep.
Captain Barnard. At any different time, you'll see him under their desk taking a snooze.
Yep.
And I think he really loves being part of our police department.
Oh, when I get him out of the car every morning, I put him on the ground, and I put his little vest on, and he's like, I am here. I'm at work. I can get away with anything here.
Yeah.
So he is so happy.
He loves it. And I'm getting people that, residents and business owners are sending me pictures of Stanley out in the community constantly, and you're doing a great job with him. So
Thank you.
This was all your idea, and we're very happy. I want you to know that right now. So what's been your best moment with him so far that you've had at work? Have you had like a special moment yet with kids or anything that you?
Oh, every day. Every time I go into school, people's faces light up when they see him. It's constant. There's no special moment, because they are all special when he's around. And because how many people tell me after seeing him, this is exactly what I needed today, and I'm like, he's doing his job. He's
great.
Perfect.
That's great. I'm so happy. So I got to tell one more story, okay?
Yeah.
I kind of tapped you for the community services position. I said, Carrie would be great. You got an infectious smile. You have a great personality. I thought you'd be great for it, right? So I sent Benny to go talk to you, and he came back and goes, Chief, she's not interested. She wants to work the road. I said, okay. I called Lieutenant Dowdy. I said, go straighten this out and have a talk with Carrie. I want her in CSU. And Lieutenant Dowdy came back a few days later, Chief, she's not going to do it. She likes working the street. Okay. So then I sent Deputy Chief Coyle, the big gun, to talk to you. And he's great with talking to young officers. He's retired now. Went and talked to you, and he came back and flustered. He goes, Chief, she ain't buying it. She's working the road. So I had to dust myself off and come have a conversation with you. You and I had one conversation. You went into the team, and you've been fantastic so far. I want you to know that right now. our big thing is we're trying to loosen all the chain of command to the point where like give you a lot of freedom, and that's what we're trying to do. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I learned a long time ago from somebody that if everybody in a room with you has gray hair, that you're doing something wrong. We need to tap into the young brains, the young talent, and let the young talent lead us. And that's kind of what we're doing with you and Benny with CSU. Like I've told Benny many times, do your thing. Let Carrie do her thing. Benny, you do your thing. I want you guys developing your own stuff and not worrying about you're going to do it better than us every time. I can tell you that right now. So I want to congratulate you.
Thank you.
And Sergeant Benedettini. When I had the vision for the CSU years ago, you guys have super tenfold done better than I expected. I want you to know that right now.
Well, thank you.
And I expect great things out of you guys in the future.
We have a
Just so
lot
you
of
know.
ideas. So
yeah, I love it. So
thank you,
thank you
Chief.
so much. Okay,
Thank
thanks
you.
for coming on the show.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Stacy's got some great B-roll footage from our open house. I hope you enjoy the footage. After you see the footage from our open house, we'll be back with a very special guest.
Welcome to the Shelby Township Police Department.
Today we're having an annual open house, a great day for our department to showcase our equipment and our station to the community and our business owners.
So something like this one can fly about 55 minutes.
So our whole department and employees are all excited for this every year, and we have a great turnout today, which I'm very happy to see.
Last year, for 2021, we had 40,000 calls for service. So that
Well, we're
means
giving
that's
station
all
tours.
someone
I think it's
calls
important so the
us
community can see
about
what we do on a daily basis and see the equipment that we use on a daily basis.
So these first few cells here are our male cells, and then around the corner you'll see our female cells. So we do our best to keep people segregated. So if you want to come on this way, you can just peek in all the windows. That needs to be communicated to a shift before that.
We use it on surveillance, that car we were watching.
We also have our drone unit flying our drones out in the parking lot.
All I can do is wave at you.
I can see
This is paid for with drug forfeiture money, meaning that no taxpayer dollars. Yeah, so the bad guys basically paid for this.
Awesome.
Okay, so right, it's a bonus.
Yeah, it's a bonus.
So we are a tactical response unit that's here, showing off our tactical response truck.
So this is a pistol rated shield. So that's not that heavy, right? So I utilize these mirrors. If I come across a hard point right here, I can look around the corner and not overexpose myself. Okay, this is better than this.
We have prizes, food, cider and donuts. And one of the most important or popular things that we have here is our Canine Dogs, and we just have 2 canine demonstrations. They just finished one up right now.
No!
And they have another demonstration coming up shortly, and that attracts a big crowd watching them.
Yeah. Get him, Nico.
Regards to So Morpheus, when he finds the odor that he's looking for, he's gonna actually scratch exactly where he thinks that odor is. So he's gonna run him on the exterior of the vehicle. Now what we look for other things than just the scratch. We look for specific different changes in behavior that we can't train into these dogs. So we call that alert behavior, okay? So when the dog changes his breathing pattern, when his pace changes, stuff like that, we look for that stuff, and then the dog will do his final trained indication, which with Morpheus is scratching, okay? With both Nico and Zora, they are passive indicating dogs, and they will just sit and stare at where they think that odor is.
How are you? You ate
Yeah, we want to thank Dino and Rocco from Utica Van Dyke Towing, helped by donating some food and cider and donuts. Also, Navistar Defense brought a couple military vehicles here. Amazon donated some bicycles, which we raffled off, and also want to thank the Chesterfield Township Police Department, which brought their boat here today as well.
Tell me, what do you think about police officers?
They help a lot of people and they're good to the service and community.
Absolutely. What about you?
They're very good people and they help anybody that's in trouble.
Okay, what kind of things are you seeing?
A lot of pictures and a lot of police cars.
Yeah.
I want to go in the SWAT.
You want to go on the SWAT team? Oh, that'd be great. What do you think about police officers?
They're great because they help protect us, and they really are great because they're just like, they protect us and they keep our place safe and they stop people from stealing from us and they just make everything better.
The community support in Shelby is second to none. I've never had this kind of support. I was over on the west side of the state, great department in the city of Portland in Ionia County. Same kind of support, but you didn't have the volume. It was a small farming community, it had 3,000 residents, and it was an 8-person department. So we certainly didn't have resources, we didn't have canine units, we didn't have drone programs, we didn't have a tactical response unit, and a lot of the other things that you see here today. A lot of departments, even our size, don't have all these entities, if you will, or services that they provide for the community. But, you know, again, we get enormous support from our board and our township supervisor. When it comes to equipment or training, it's whatever it takes to make the community safe and feel safe. We're not going to put a price tag on it. That's at least my perception of what I see. And I think that's what the perception of the citizens. They're getting a lot of bang for their dollar for living here.
I heard that the police station was going to go do demonstrations on all of the amazing tactical things that they have and let us know exactly where our funding is going to and how they protect us.
As a Shelby Township resident, how important are your police department to you?
They're everything. Their safety anywhere that we go, 24 hours a day. They work for the community and with the community. You can't say enough great things about our particular Shelby Township Police Department. Anything that I ever hear is positive. They care for the community, and I'm so grateful to be a resident.
So what do you think about all this cool stuff?
Yeah, we actually also saw it in the police academy we did, so it's all familiar, but it's still really cool stuff.
Why are police officers so important?
Because they help our community and keep us safe from the robbers and stuff.
So you can peek in here.
I'm seeing what the police do and what the police dogs do.
Okay, what do you think about Officer Stanley over here?
He's funny and he's cute.
He's so cute. Hey, what do you think about police officers?
They're cool. My brother loves police officers and he wants to be one day.
Camera away from
We love to see it too. I mean, with such a huge turnout that we have here, I mean, it shows the amount of support that our community has for us, and we love it. So, I mean, we couldn't do this without our community support.
Our open house was outstanding. It was a great community event. I think we served over 1,300 people on that day, and something we're looking forward to next year. We're going to do it bigger and better. Our next guest is Stephen Fox, Major Crimes Assistant Prosecuting Attorney for Macomb County Prosecutor's Office.
Yes,
Stephen,
sir.
welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate it.
Yeah, tell us about your background.
Sure, thank you. And first of all, your event was incredible. I mean, it really was well put on. The community outreach was just fantastic, and I'm not at all surprised, frankly, from your department. So nice work on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Assistant Prosecutor for the county. I've been here 17 years for Macomb County. I'm the head of our Major Crimes Division, which means I handle all of our homicide cases, either directly or I supervise the folks who are handling those cases once they're assigned. I'm our principal trial attorney for the office and the chief of our cold case unit. So, been here for a little bit.
Yeah.
Been at our Macomb Circuit Court for close to 200 jury trials. I've had numerous positions over the years, including chief of the senior crimes unit, chief of the auto theft unit, and so on and so forth. So it's been a wonderful career.
It sounds like it. Now, the first time you and I met, I think it was in a social setting. Jason Schmiller introduced us, our deputy chief. And then after that, I read an interesting article in the newspaper about a double murder in Clinton Township, and I saw that you were in charge of the case. It was your case. I actually told Jason to text you and tell you, good luck with it, everything like that. I know you have coming up for trial, shortly, whatever. What can you tell us about the case?
Well, I mean, obviously I can't go into too much detail. Some of it is public because we had a preliminary examination. Of course, maybe not all the viewing audience, but the process for criminal felony cases. They start in the district court with something called a preliminary examination, where some testimony is presented to get the case to the Macomb County Circuit Court, where ultimately a trial takes place. And we do have a trial scheduled in October on that. It's a 2013 case. It was a cold case that was not solved until 2020. And it was a stabbing death of an 11-year-old girl and her mother. So very sad, very, very violent.
Steve,
it's a tough case.
I've got to tell you, I've been in law enforcement I'm 2 months shy of 36 years now. I've done everything you can think of. I made over 1,000 arrests in my career. I investigated sex crimes for 10 years. I don't ever remember reading a more disturbing account from that preliminary exam. It sickened me. And God bless you for handling that case, and I wish you the best. I truly hope justice is served here. I want to add that.
And it will be. We're working hard to make sure the right thing is done.
I'm glad to hear it. Now, Jason Schmiller has been our deputy chief for about 2 years now. He ran a drug unit for 15 years. He himself, him and I go back and forth. We tease each other. He always says he's made 1,001 arrests, and we have a good time with that or whatever.
Right.
And bottom line is he just thinks the world of you, okay? And a few of the other prosecutors at the office. And when I hear Jason, what he thinks of you, that really, that impresses me, because I know Jason's the real deal.
I appreciate that. He absolutely is. On a personal level, he's a wonderful man, a great father, a great person. But from a law enforcement perspective, he really is an incredible and unique talent. I mean, he's someone you're very fortunate to have as part of the department. I know you recognize that, both with his leadership capabilities in his current role. But I knew him when he was a detective. I knew him when he was in the drug unit. Very thorough, very detailed, and quite frankly, he didn't act with an agenda, right? His goal was always to do the right thing, to get to the truth, to get to the facts, to make sure only the right people were punished for the right things, and to do it the right way. And that's what I demand of all the police I work with.
So you guys had a big transition in January of 2021. You had a new prosecutor after, 18 years?
We did.
Elected official, Mr. Lucido came in. I know he's got a different agenda than, everybody's going to do things differently. So how's the transition went from Prosecutor Smith to Prosecutor Lucido?
Obviously different leadership styles, different personalities. For me personally, the office has run smoothly under both leaderships. And I'll be frank, just a little bit about my background and to transition to your question. During law school, I went to Wayne State for law school, and I did quite well there. And I went to one of the largest law firms in the country to be a civil attorney. I spent about 4.5 years doing civil, commercial business litigation, labor and employment law, things like that. And I left in 2005 to be a prosecutor. And I'll be frank, people thought I was a little crazy to do that. To leave kind of the silk stocking law firm and all that good stuff. But I'm really passionate about this work. I mean, I love the work. I believe in what we do. I believe in helping our community. I'm married. I have 2 children. I really believe in things being done and being done correctly. So the fact is, when we found out, and frankly, those of us in the office found out at the same time as the general public, more or less, about some of the misconduct of Mr. Smith, it was disappointing. It was very disappointing on a personal level, because I believe so much in doing the right thing. That's what I've dedicated my life to this office. So, I'm sorry for, Mr. Smith's wife and children, have to go through that. I'll be frank, he's made his decisions and he'll have to live with those consequences. But having Peter Lucido come into the office, he certainly came in, and if you know Mr. Lucido, you know, he comes in like a bull in a china shop.
He's a firebrand.
So he is.
Yeah.
So he's, you know, he's left his mark. He's done it quickly, but he's given us as prosecutors discretion to handle the work, I think, in the right way. He's put people in positions of authority that can handle the caseload, and you know, the office is operating very well.
I've dealt with Pete several times over the last 20 months. I think he's been in office now. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
Yeah, I've dealt with him several times, and I'm impressed with him. What I see is that he cares. Number one, he cares. He's trying to put his stamp on the office and everything. And I tell him, just be patient. I think he gets frustrated at times, but I think it's just going to take a matter of time. And I saw where he's hiring some new prosecutors. I know that was his big goal. And I think he's bringing in veteran prosecutors into the office, is what he tells me, which will help. Probably much better for you guys, for your existing prosecutors, and have to train young staff, correct?
Sure. I mean, that has been new is under Mr. Smith, and granted the economy has a lot to do with it, but you know, us getting new persons to work in the office was pretty difficult, right? Us expanding our workforce was hard to do. And I mean, we had per prosecutor caseloads higher than Wayne County and Oakland County, which is surprising, but that's the reality we were dealing with. So Pete Lucido came in, he did address that directly with the board. Obviously there's been some, you know, internal fights, which we are not involved in, but you know, I'm thankful that he's made that effort to bring in additional help, to bring in additional prosecutors so that we can better serve the public.
Yeah. Tell me about your favorite case you had as a prosecutor, where you were the man, and you took a bad guy and you put him right where he belonged. Tell us about it.
Well, I've got a couple things. I mean, I would never say favorite case.
I love your answer.
Right, thank you.
I love your answer. You got a couple, and that's what I expect from a man of your experience.
Right. Well, thank you. I mean, I would say fortunately, but really it's unfortunate to be in the situation that I've prosecuted dozens of homicide cases, but also sexual assault cases, all types of very serious incidents. And I would never classify one as a favorite case, but two that really jump out, and they may take a minute, so give me that if you can.
Please.
One deals with the case itself and how I view our responsibility. It's a great demonstration of it. And the other one is more or less about my thought process and why I do what I do and what I plan to be doing. So the first case was a matter where a woman was driving to work at Shaner and around 17 Mile in Sterling Heights. A gentleman pulled her out of her car before work and tried to sexually assault her. He left behind a hat and some other issues. He backed out of the location as she was screaming, and other witnesses came out. He was driving a old red Jimmy, or a Blazer, from the 90s, tan interior, something you don't see that often. He backed into something across the street, hit the bumper, took off. Police come to the scene, and a neighbor comes up and says he saw the whole thing. And so the police start asking, and he said he saw a Corvette speeding away. That seemed unique, so they go to his house, and guess what's sitting in the driveway?
Corvette.
Nope, a tan Blazer.
Okay.
Or excuse me, a red Blazer with tan interior. Exactly what the victim described as the assailants.
Okay.
It has damage to the right rear bumper. This guy backed into something. So of course the police are thinking, wow, this is probably our person. Ultimately, the victim picked him out of a lineup. So he was charged with criminal sexual conduct, attempt to sexually penetrate, a very serious offense.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have the case until it came to me in the Macomb County Circuit Court, where at that time I had questions. I had some questions about some inconsistencies that she viewed the person to be very dark complected, whereas this guy was very, very light-skinned white male. You know, there were a ton of circumstances that it made sense that it could be him, but I still had questions. At the same time, I had another case, a guy named Christian Margosian, who was 21 years old, who had followed a woman home from Shelby Township, or excuse me, from Sterling Heights, Shaner and 59, all the way to her house in New Baltimore, where he attacked her with a knife, and she drove away. He was arrested and charged with assault with a dangerous weapon. And his version was he was just, you know, upset because of a road rage thing.
Okay.
Again, it didn't sit well, and I know this is taking a minute.
That's fine.
Subsequent to that, we got reports that Christian Margosian had followed another woman on Shaner Road to her home, called her to his car, and when she approached the car, he was doing inappropriate things. She called police. They ended up going to his home and arresting him. We followed up on him, and I actually worked with a number of the detectives in the Sterling Heights Police Department to look at a pattern, because I saw that pattern and I recognized that the first case we were talking about with a gentleman who had been arrested, bound over to circuit court after testimony, his case seemed to fit that pattern. Ultimately, Christian Margosian was connected to 9 different incidents. And from that first case, he left behind a hat. It had a hair in it that could not be identified through DNA at the state level. And I was able to find an FBI laboratory in Minnesota that could process a type of DNA. It's called mitochondrial DNA. They did that, and they eliminated our first defendant as being involved and identified Christian Margosian.
Wow.
So the result of that is this. I'll be frank, and I'm not patting myself on the back at all, but fortunately with the investigation, everything that was done, the first person that was charged, very easily could have been convicted at trial. The coincidences were just overwhelmingly strong. But it was one of my favorite moments as a prosecutor to actually dismiss that case, to make sure and to follow up and to take the steps to make sure we did not wrongly prosecute somebody. And at the same time, to then go after the shark in the water, right? The gentleman that was the problem for our community. And Christian Margosian was convicted and is now doing 40 plus years in the Department of Corrections.
I love it.
That, I think, is a great balance for what we do. I don't get a toaster oven at the end of the year for convictions. My job is to do the right thing based on the facts with the right cases. And that demonstrated that we want to make sure we protect people from being wrongly convicted of something and make sure that we go after those who are doing the bad deeds.
That's a great story. I love it. And congratulations for doing outstanding work and caring about your work. And it tells me you're not just going through the motions. Right. You're paying attention. I love it.
Thank you.
In closing, I have one more question for you. I heard a little bird whispered on my shoulder that you're running for a very serious position coming up. And you want to tell us a little bit about it?
I am. Yeah, absolutely. So we had a judge resign at the end of last November. Governor Whitmer did appoint a replacement to that seat, but I'm going to be running for Macomb County Circuit Court Judge this fall, specifically November 8th, just like all the other elections. It's a nonpartisan seat, which means you have to look for the name, you have to check the box for Fox, you can't just vote by party. But yeah, it's for Circuit Court Judge in November. I'm running because people ask why I wanted to be a prosecutor, and you generally don't want to answer a question with a question, but I'll never forget sitting outside a courtroom with a woman whose husband was murdered in a robbery. And the defendants came into the store, came around the shop front desk, and were going to the rear room. And in that rear room is where the shop owner's 12-year-old son was doing his homework. And so the shop owner ended up pulling a gun and got into a shootout with the bad guy. While the 12-year-old son watched it happen on security, called 911, just a horrible, horrible audio, right? So I prosecuted those guys that did the robbery.
That was Clinton Township Party story?
It was.
Okay.
It was. And before the jury came back with their verdict of guilty, I was in the hallway with the wife and mother, the wife of the shop owner and mother of that 12-year-old. And all she kept asking was why. Why my husband? Why my son? We're doing everything right. And there wasn't a good way to answer that question. But that question, why, is exactly my answer to you as to why am I running for judge, right? Because the judicial spots, for all the spots on the ballot, with all due respect to the governor and Congress and the legislator, God forbid something happens to you, your family, your business, whatever it might be, whether it's a car accident or you're a victim or whatever it is, you don't see any of them, right? You stand 6 feet in front of a judge. It's the only spot on the ballot that changes lives every single day. And I think it's important we have the right people there, and I hope that I've earned the right to be there.
Steve, I've been in law enforcement for 36 years and a chief for the last 8. I've never endorsed a candidate before, and I don't think my board of trustees wants me to, so I'm going to stay away from that. But I'm going to tell you this, I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Chief.
I truly, from everything inside me, I wish you the best, and I hope that God is with you. Steve, thank you for coming in. We appreciate it greatly. We wish you the best. You've been watching Straight Talk with Robert Schlide. We'll see you next month.